Welcome to another episode of Hashtag Agency Life. And today on the show, we have Rommel Caibal. How are you today?
I am doing great. I'm a little, petrified. This is my first time doing an interview, but it's always exciting.
I'm a very scary person, and so you should be very scared.
I heard stories.
Oh my gosh, I hope you haven't heard, although I have heard stories about you, of which I'll probably ask you about. Because Paul Lacey, who always seems to make some sort of an appearance on this podcast, has been up to his old tricks and has been secretly telling me things behind your back. So
yes, and I got Paul to thank for this. My good mutual friend of ours, it's always great and encouraging, and making me do this,
absolutely.
Then even doing this type of even the YouTube videos, he's always very encouraging.
He's a great guy. We always need an encourager in our lives. So, folks, I just recommend you go to agencytrailblazer.com and tap in Paul Lacey in the podcast area. You'll see a couple of his episodes. He is a great guy. He's a great encourager. He runs a fantastic business and a very close personal friend of both me and Rommel's. We really appreciate his encouragement and his input. So I definitely recommend you follow him. He's definitely a star in both of our eyes. But it's not about Paul. It's about you today. So we've got a few questions to hit you with. Are you ready to rock and roll?
I am ready as I can be.
Excellent. Let's do this. Then. So first of all, first question, we're going to learn about your agency, and it is, tell us the name of your agency and what it is that you do.
Okay. So I'm based in Burlington, Ontario, and in Canada, and the company's name is RCC Graphic Designs, which is named after me because I started it. So I get to oversee everything that's happening in it. Yeah. I started off as just a brief history. I started off as a graphic designer. That's that's me, my trade, and then went into marketing. Went to did the course on that through Sheridan College here in Ontario, and but at the same time, I also have a background in relational database and programming back in the 90s.
So you're a full-on geek.
Yeah, exactly, right. And my passion is art and computers, and kind of merged the two, and that's how I ended up with being a graphic designer, and started off in the print industry and with the whole Y2K. Then the bubble burst, and so all the print collaterals, all the marketing stuff kind of ported online, and that's where my journey started pretty much 2 decades ago, right?
So 20 years. Can I just say as well, though, I mean, I love databases. I'm originally a database programmer as well. I've designed some absolutely stunning, beautiful databases, and I think that databases are art just as much as design, because design is solving a problem, isn't it? And creating an interrelational database that solves a problem, it's just one of those things that makes me really excited. And also, if anybody knows about the post-meta structure of WordPress, then you'll be as frustrated as me about that, because it is the worst design in history. And I love WordPress, but they definitely got post-meta wrong. I'm sure you'll agree. But anyway.
I think we all have that, that issues with it.
Absolutely. But let's not be too geeky. And let's find out about your birthday party. If you were going to have a birthday party for your agency as it stands today, how roughly old is it, and when would your birthday approximately be?
Okay, so it's been a long time, but I would place it March 1st, 2002.
2002.
Yeah,
wow.
That's when I officially registered it.
So that was mainly static HTML websites back in the day.
Oh yeah, you got it. And GeoCities, all of that way back then.
That's fantastic. We need to have a podcast where me and you just talk about what it was like back in 2000. Well, I first built my first website in 99. 96. And then went kind of serious in 99 as a business. So me and you should totally just have a podcast or a video together where we just explain to people what it was like, because it's a completely different world, wasn't it, to what it is right now.
Yeah. And you know how people talk about building portals and and building in JavaScript and everything. You know how back then it used to be frowned upon, but now that's basically a comeback, right?
And when you needed help, there was no help available. You had to go to the library and get a book and hope that you could find the solution inside of that book. So the amount of books I had that I probably didn't return. But anyway.
Exactly. As you can see here, with my...
And mine are all over there, but I'd have to move the camera and readjust the lighting, and it would just all go to pot. And folks, if you are listening to this show, don't forget you can find it on YouTube on agencytrailblazer.com/YouTube. So let's learn about your setup, Rommel. And I would love to know, how many people do you have in your team?
Okay, so the administration stuff, there's about 3 of us, including my assistant. She takes care of all the support tickets and everything, and we have the billing and everything, and I work with the contractors on special projects, and that's how we build the site. Like I said, I start off as a graphic designer, so and which brings me to a book that I read before, which is The Walmart Way, and how Walmart built their companies in small emerging communities, right? Yeah. And then, so I kind of treat my business the same way, where I start off with a logo as not so much of a loss leader, but more of an entry point, right? And then from there, we build marketing collaterals, and then websites, and basically digital marketing.
It is a very effective way, isn't it, of getting into a business, because what we will do is, people understand that we work with design agencies to create a WordPress website from what they've designed. And that's all we tell people, but actually under the hood, we provide so many more services that are even way more profitable than that. But obviously, it's just getting in on that specific relationship. So that's a real wise move. But you said kind of as a team, there's about 3 of you. And like a lot of agencies nowadays, it's more cost effective to partner with people on projects. And that gives everybody the freedom that they need. I think a lot of contractors, back in the day, we had a lot of employees. A lot of those are in our old agency. A lot of those are now contractors who we still work with to this day, and they love the freedom of knowing that they can work with different agencies, which is really cool.
Exactly. And especially when we talked about earlier about globalization, it just makes more business sense to work around the time they're convenient in, especially when you're working with contractors or other businesses that have young families, right?
Exactly.
So you kind of have to work around when they're most productive and most efficient way of managing their time, right?
And you're going to get the best out of them as well. So speaking of the modern office, the modern way of doing business, do you guys have a physical premises, or are you a virtual setup?
Okay, so right now, probably for a long time, and for almost 2 decades, yes, I'm a virtual office, and it was very difficult starting off as that, because as you know, it was never like this before, right? Where you have Facebook, you have other means like Upwork, or even Fiverr, right? It's very difficult, having a virtual setup. And I do have clients that offer me a space, but that's also a cost of, an overhead that you pass on to clients, right? So those are kind of variables that you kind of have to, keep in mind, right? So I've been fortunate enough that, that I was lucky enough that, that I slowly build loyal clientele that allows me to function the way we have it. We have VPSs that that services our clients, and because of that, it allows me to to do this this virtual gig.
Yeah, I love it, and it's a very very cost effective way, I think, for a lot of agencies to operate. I need to cut that bit because some music started playing in my ear, and I just need to yeah. So let me start again. Yeah, it's a very cost-effective way for agencies to operate nowadays. The cost of premises, especially in kind of the bigger cities, can be £3,000, £4,000 plus. So it's definitely a very effective way. Me and you were chatting just before we started recording with regards to our offices. We've actually moved our offices to the village that we live in, which is going to allow us to walk to it, and also because it's within the village, which is not in a central business district, it's extremely cheap, which is amazing. And we're just waiting now for them to finish all of the refit so that we can move in. But that gives us the best of both worlds. It kind of takes us away from our physical home here, where I'm at, which at the moment it's a little bit of a squeeze fitting everyone in who comes to visit. And we'll have some office space, which will be nice, but it'll still be in the same village.
And that's actually a great point because it's sometimes you get you think about the allure of of working either from home or having an office, right? And and all of us deal with that struggle, whether is it something that it's feasible for us to build build a business outside the home, or or work work and then have to deal with all the distractions, right, with family and dogs barking and everything.
Literally had that on the last episode, the dog barking.
Yeah. Exactly. So at the end, you just got to sit down and figure out what's best for your business. Right?
Exactly, and for us as well, it allows us. We both live in the village, so which is awesome. So me and Larissa can go, and then everybody else that works with us are contractors. We've got contractors, but we've also got employees around the world as well, which is nice. So we've kind of got a hybrid for us who live together, who live near each other. We have our kind of physical location here, and then we also have the hybrid where we don't have to have massive premises for other employees. We can have them wherever they're located, and I definitely think it's part of this modern age, a lot different to, again, what things were like in 2002. So with regards to the team that you have, you've got contractors, you've got your assistant, you've got people who do work with you as well, who are on the payroll, etc. What sort of team culture have you tried to establish with everybody?
So it's very difficult because we go through phases, right? And and just like any other company, and so what I try to do is give it more free reign in a way, because especially when you're starting off in the agency life, it's very difficult to to let go, right? And I believe Paul mentioned something about the the E-Myth, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like a big fan of of them too, and and because in sales too, that like Zig Ziglar, for instance, right? So one of the things that talks about is being a technician, a manager, and right. And an entrepreneur, and it's it's very difficult because you wear too many hats, and and you're in control of everything, and eventually what you need to do, you need to structure your business and then let go of those little bit of that piece of the pie, right, and delegate. So when you start figuring that out, then it makes it a lot easier. So and that's why it took me over 2 decades, opposed to somebody that that kind of figured it out within 2-3 years, or even 5 years, right?
So you're like a fine wine. You're aging it slowly, but that's absolutely fine. Really recommend the E-Myth book to everybody. I think most of us are going to find that there's a huge part of us which is the technician, where we just kind of want to get on with the work and sit in a kind of do the job, as it were.
That's exactly it.
Exactly. And then there's always this kind of very alluring part of us that's fighting us to be the entrepreneur with all of these exciting ideas. And the E-Myth talks about kind of the franchise franchise model and how to start to establish processes in your business which allow you to let go, which Rommel was talking about, is kind of letting go and letting his team start to take over the mantle of certain things. So having those processes in place are really essential. So definitely worth, good shout out there, Rommel, for that book. Well, let's talk about your mission as a company, as a business. And do you have a particular niche or industry that you're working in?
Okay, so in terms of particular niche, it's always good to to niche down. There's no question about that. Just like how we're handling our business stages. Every year, we always or even not just every year, but every 2-3 years, we depending on how the environment is and what the market is, we try to focus on one specific industry. So there were in the past, we did basically just the restaurants and I think this year we're doing manufacturing. Last year or the year before, I believe we did construction. So
it's like a seasonal niche. You're actually trying something different, where you're trying different industries each year to mix things up.
Exactly, and
I've never heard of that. That's fascinating. How's that going?
Yeah, it's great because it varies as long as you have you mentioned, as long as you have a process in place.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you have a formula and you have a process in place, like I use my whiteboard all the time, and so once you have that set, then you can apply those formulas in the different different industries, right?
I think there'll be a lot of people who will kill for your formulas then, because that sounds fascinating. Now, I've got a question then. I mean, this kind of works very well from this. So you're the first person I've heard who actually likes to experiment in different niches over different years. So for all of those different clients that you've had in the different areas, what do you feel the main problem is that you solve for all of your clients?
Okay, so one of the things that I eventually figured out is that at least for the clients that I'm involved in, is that none of them have a specific set of process in place, right? Because they're all started off. I work mostly with local businesses, right? Small to medium sized businesses. We do have, like I said, manufacturing. So we do have a lot of companies, organizations that have multiple branches across Canada, and some of them are global, right?
Yeah.
But the small ones, the local ones, most likely, just like the EMET, they start off as a technician. They don't have the expertise, for marketing and promotions, and they don't have process in place in terms of sales. Because one of the things that is missing as an entrepreneur and as a technician is that one skill set that's missing is sales, right? And and that's what I love about sales, because once once you have that skill set, then then you can pretty much sell anything, because around that revolves pricing strategies and figuring out different markets.
So it would be fair to say that you help clients with their sales, so helping them through the different tools and the different services that you have, be it started off with the brand image that you provide, right through to the marketing strategy that you also provide. Massive issue for many businesses, it's finding those new leads, bringing them in and converting them into sales. Would that be a good way of saying it?
Correct. Absolutely.
Cool. I've been told I'm a wordsmith, so there you go. And I'm trying to live up to that name. All right, let's get into marketing then. Literally, we're talking about marketing now. And how do you generate leads as a business?
Okay, so currently I'm trying to work with LinkedIn and and Instagram. So a lot of them, especially nowadays, the whole push with social media. I do do some like lead scraping in a way through lead generation and a lot of email campaigns. and applied the same formula that I use for for my clients, because at the end I want to make sure that that I can vouch for for that process, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a combination of every single thing that that we do online, and and a lot of them revolves around creating good lead magnets, so that way you can capture them, and then put them through a process, which is a funnel, right?
So strategic social media, sending people to specific landing pages or parts of your website and capturing their attention with those lead magnets, of which you can then start to develop that relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good strategy, tried and true, and definitely not a strategy that you would have been able to apply necessarily back in 2002. So it's something that's definitely evolved, hasn't it? With the way that the internet has changed and the amount of free information that's out there as well. It's so cool.
Exactly, and you definitely need patience, and and try not to take as many shortcuts.
Absolutely, and these things take so much time. I've been doing this podcast now for 3 years nearly, and it's definitely taken time to grow and to build the community. And I'm one of those people I'm really impatient. I want things to happen now or yesterday. So this has been a massive lesson with me, especially around the idea of content marketing, etc., providing free value and learning that you kind of need to stay in for the long haul.
Exactly.
So success, you've had 20 years of this now, and that's success in itself. You've been around in the industry producing websites, brands, all that sort of stuff for clients for 20 years. So kudos to you. How do you personally measure success? For example, how would you finish up a year or a day or a week feeling like that was a good week? You feel like you've achieved something. What would be your measurement?
Yeah, so measurement is first, without my clients, then why bother doing this, right? So
fair enough.
Loyalty, and with your clients, and them telling you that they're doing a great job, and it's that's where the your MRR, your monthly recurring revenue comes in, and with that, and then your annual P&L, your profit and loss, you check that and see how you progress every year, right?
Customer retention and growth.
Yeah, exactly. So once you figure that out, then then you're on the right path. If there's if there's a down, like your peaks and valleys, right? So if there's a down, then obviously there's an issue. Then you work on that problem and try to get you back up. Right?
That's really, really good advice. I think a lot of us often forget that there are a few of the basics that we definitely need to keep our eye on, which is keeping the customer happy, making sure we retain them, and keeping your eye on those on those numbers, because we're in a kind of an industry which can be very much feast and famine as well at times if we don't keep our eye on the kind of the long term, what's coming in the pipeline.
Exactly. So so trying to make sure, at the end of the day, it's all about customer service, right?
Absolutely.
If you provide value to your customers, then that's where your word of mouth advertising comes in, and and the referrals, right?
Exactly. Which kind of goes right back to the how do you generate leads as well. So we've kind of gone through both those questions, and apparently that's vodka in the glass that he's drinking. So the size.
I will tell you after this. After this.
All right, so it's confession time. You can either confess what's in that glass or something about your business. The question is, bearing in mind that it's just me and you and a few thousand listeners around the globe, so I'm pretty sure your secret will be safe with all of us.
No pressure.
What is the biggest problem that you feel you have in your business?
Okay, so I often tell this to and I mentioned this to you before too, and and our mutual friends and everybody at MartechWise and Web Agency Mastermind, is that time is like my nemesis, right? Yeah. And I think everybody is the same thing, especially with working from home, and especially now it's summer. My kids are off school, so so having to juggle, work and managing a Facebook group, and and family and friends, right? So the work-life balance exists, but it's a struggle. So
Yeah.
and partly because it's you're split in so many directions, and it's time, right?
I
And
hear you.
same thing, with work wise. This with this agency life, time's always a factor. Trying to figure out deliverables, deadlines, and trying to make sure that that your team is on track, making sure that that things that they're supposed to deliver are on time, so that way in turn you can deliver and satisfy your customers' needs, right?
Yeah. I know a British guy called Doctor Who who's mastered time travel, so I'll introduce you guys. But otherwise, I
Big
think
fan.
we're all struggling. We're all struggling with time. You're totally right. Well, let's talk about your well-being. You work from home. You have the responsibilities of family time, like you said, with your children being off. You've also got your business there as well. So there's an awful lot of things that are vying for your time and attention. How do you switch off? Personally, so how do you calm down, maybe get away from the work? How do you chill? Because
Okay,
I think we all struggle with this one.
well, absolutely. The, so one of the things that my wife and I tell our kids, when like dinner time comes, is no cell phones, no.
Okay.
Even when we go out for dinner, right? We try to turn that off and put it away, off the table, right?
Yeah.
In your pocket, and and out of reach, because anything that's out of reach, out of sight, that's it's
Out of mind.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. And it makes it and I do the same thing, when I'm sitting down, with a client on meetings, right? And because like right now, even I have my phone here beside me. I turn off the ringer, I turn off everything, I turn off, I mute Facebook, right? So that way you and I don't get interrupted, and that's very important when you're meeting with somebody, especially a new lead, a new prospect, right?
I've got mine face down so I can't actually see the notifications, and it's on silent.
Exactly, because undivided attention goes a long way, right?
Amen. Yeah.
And so that said, I try to compartmentalize things, and I think that's a great skill set to have with entrepreneurs, and on the weekends I try not to let work take over that, and spend a lot of time with my family, and because especially now. My kids are approaching that teenage years, and then they're going to high school soon. Most likely, they're going to be spending time with their friends, not so much with us anymore, right? So you don't want to lose sight of that, and same thing with with your friends. They go off into different directions. So if you make time for family and friends, and do some and focus on work, and set boundaries and hours, then I think you can make that work-life balance work.
Yeah. I think I think it was Amy Woods, called it a work-life integration. So it's just finding, like you say, compartmentalizing, finding those times and those slots, and not missing out on the children, because my daughter is growing so fast, it's ridiculous, and it's scary. Now then, so we're both dads. We've confessed to both being busy, and time is one of our enemies, or it's also one of our joys. But how do you, or do you even, because there's something I struggle with, how do you find time, or what do you do to try and maintain some sort of health? That could be mental health, that could be physical well-being.
So during downtime, okay, so like I said, my routine. So my routine in the morning is I wake up around, I want to wake up at 6, but I happen to wake up at 5, 4:35, just like you.
Yeah.
So I try to exercise, and hit the bike, and so that's how I keep myself physically, healthy. My wife and I are, got this, all kinds of different diets that we tried before. So that is a lifestyle change. So,
Yeah.
basically try to maintain a healthy living. I try to, as you can see, tend to read a lot. I try to keep up with it, and at the end of the night, I spend time with with my wife and kids, and we watch TV and play games and that kind of stuff, right?
That's good.
But that keeps me whole in a way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so so if you set aside time, then then I think you can make everything work.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree. That sounds brilliant. And I think kind of switching off and health and well-being, they're kind of the similar sort of question. But I kind of split those questions out because it does kind of help people. It helps unpack further, because if we just say one thing, oh yeah, I go out for a run, or I do some exercise on a bike, it doesn't really get to the kind of the root of it, where we end up talking about all the other things that we do, because health is your mental health just as much as your physical health as well. So that was a wonderful answer. And I really love throughout this entire interview how your family has been completely number one throughout all of this. And I just think that's beautiful and brilliant and inspiring. So I'm loving what you're sharing, mate. We are coming into land. This is the last question. So you made it, and I wasn't that scary, I don't think. And you have been awesome. And that last question is, and you have to stick to one tool. What is one tool that you feel has been essential to your success, and why?
This one behind me, the whiteboard.
The whiteboard. Yes.
The whiteboard. Yep.
Okay.
I love the something tangible, something tactile, and just like with books, it's different when you flip through the pages, opposed to reading and right. So having the muscle memory to write down stuff, draw flow charts, mind maps on the whiteboard, and then transfer that digitally. I think that's a big, huge asset in terms of putting something down on paper, right?
Totally agree. I think I said on a few episodes ago, I quite enjoy I have a to-do list, which is physical, as well as the online to-do list, and I really enjoy just putting that line through things physically myself, that tactile, yep, done, that is finished, I can forget about that. So completely agree. I feel like someone else said whiteboard as well a while ago, but definitely there is power in the good old-fashioned utensils, isn't there, as opposed to our entire digital life, which could disappear in a heartbeat, couldn't it, if you forgot to press save? Whereas at least it's on the board, unless the kids get near it and decide they're going to doodle all over it, which has happened. So always take a picture of your whiteboard before you leave your office every day. Top advice.
No, that's a very good advice. Yeah, it's funny because how especially us being in this industry for a long time, and we thought people talk about how television replaced radio, and the internet is going to replace television, and in emails, social media is going to replace email, but the fact of the matter is it's actually just an extension of just basically creating new channels, right?
Yeah.
For communication. The same thing with the whiteboard, whether it be a whiteboard or even a good old fashioned notebook.
Yep.
Right. So it's all relevant and and relative, right? So
absolutely. Well, Rommel, you have been absolutely awesome. Loved hearing about your business. Loving hearing all of your advice. Could you share with us how we can connect with you, and then we will say goodbye.
Okay, so you can reach me. I'm on Facebook. So just look up RCC GD and I'll show up. So the website is rccgd.com for RCC Graphic Designs.
Perfect. Mate, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye, everybody.